It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
All right, good morning and welcome back. Welcome back to Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell. This is Josh Waters filling in for Paul today. And right now, we have coming up here in just a minute, Mark West is the Libertarian candidate for governor. And over at Talk Business and Politics, they have a article out, and the headline is Libertarian Mark West picks up Democratic gubernatorial candidate Leticia Sanders' endorsement. And it says here, in a Facebook post, Sanders asked her supporters to cast their vote for West. She says, quote, "I am with West. We are both on the same accord of views of how to make Arkansas great for the people in this state. I hope in the general election that my supporters that voted for me in the primary will change their votes for Mark West, the Libertarian." So we have Mark West on the phone now. So Mark, welcome to the show, and I guess congratulations on this endorsement.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here, and I try to take advantage of every opportunity I can get to speak to voters in Arkansas. And yes, Leticia's endorsement, it is big. It's major because you typically don't have cross-party endorsements like that, and that kind of came as a surprise. She called me and wanted to talk, and after our conversation, she said that she would like to endorse, and we were willing to accept the endorsement. We are on the same track as far as trying to end the establishment. That was the biggest problem and concern that she had was the establishment was running the Democrat Party, the establishment is running the Republican Party, and she felt the only way to really truly send a message to both parties was for her to do a cross-party endorsement and basically thumb her nose at the establishment and say, you know what, this office should belong to the people of the state of Arkansas and not to the lobbyists and the special interests that are controlling both parties.
Yeah, it's kind of a very interesting election. Like you said, she was a Democrat running in the primary, and she is not endorsing the I guess now Democrat nominee Jared Henderson. She got 37% of the Democrat primary vote. And then also when you look at, Jan Morgan, she's not endorsing Asa Hutchinson for governor. So the two primary opponents that got, tens of thousands, I don't know the number, probably 80 or 90,000 votes, are not endorsing their primary opponents heading into the general election.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that, is not typical for politics, but it does show that the two candidates, Jan and Leticia, are both, anti-establishment. They were trying to take on the establishment with their campaigns, and therefore they see the people that won the races. They see Asa and Jared as just two different heads of the same establishment. Both are going to push to hurt the average Arkansan with their policies, and it's going to be an interesting election season to see how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. 2016 was, I think caught everyone by surprise with Trump in the primary and then, him ultimately winning. I think 2018 is going to have a lot of surprises as well. So we'll just get us caught up on the campaign and how it's going. I know the primaries kind of sucked a lot of air, at least news-wise, into just the Democrat and Republican primaries. But now that we're in the general election, it's you, Mark West, the Libertarian, and versus Jared Henderson, the Democrat, versus Asa Hutchinson, the Republican. So what's the campaign been like since the primaries have ended and going through this summer?
Well, one big thing we did during the primary season, because we knew that all the focus was going to be on the two major party primaries, we actually put together an action plan, a 10-step action plan for making Arkansas a destination state. And if you go to my website, markwest4governor.com, that is the number 4, those 10 steps are linked to in that on the home page of the website, and it revolves around a couple of core things, and one of those core things is what we are calling cost, or the Committee on Spending and Taxation. You know, the governor right now has a tax task force, like somehow making taxes more revenue neutral is the problem with Arkansas, and that's just wholly false. The problem with Arkansas is a spending problem, and once you cut spending and get spending down, then you can do across-the-board tax cuts that everybody feels when they get their paycheck every week. Across-the-board tax cuts for your family businesses so they can expand and do more hiring. We want Arkansas to be the destination state for families and jobs, and we believe going through this Committee on Spending and Taxation, one thing it's not going to do, it's not going to add spending, because it is going to be a voluntary thing. It's only going to be people that volunteer to be a part of it, but we're going to look at everything our government does, and again, this is just step one. We're going to look at everything the government does. We're going to find areas of redundancy. We're going to find areas of overlap. We're going to find areas of inefficiency, and we're going to address those through the state legislature and get our government more efficient. Get rid of the redundancy, the overlap, and make our government function better. And then once we do that, we're going to start looking at the areas of spending where we need cuts. One of those is going to be working to repeal Arkansas Works and shift the care, shift that form of health care into the free market. And part of that is also going to be involved in actually looking at why health care is as expensive as it is, from prescription medicine costs to doctor visit costs. And we're going to try to clean up the swamp. We need to drain the swamp in Little Rock. It is, as you were just talking about the first half hour of the show with Gilliam, you have this unhealthy revolving door, this back and forth between lobbyists and members of the state legislature, and that's why you have spending. And we hope that our policies and the things we're going to push for will help make our government more transparent, and it will clean it up, and it will make it more ethical. But those are the things we're going to push the legislature for. Those are things that we want to see if we can win the election for governor.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of the unspoken thing down there, unfortunately, too much is, what spending is looking like, because we hear about the income tax, and that's been a good start. But when you look at spending, we've increased spending over $600 million the last few fiscal years now, and that's just not sustainable. The lieutenant governors come out and said, a lot of what you're saying too. We have to look at spending and get that under control, and he talks about transformation, and so it sounds like y'all be able to work well on there. I just pulled up your website, Mark, about these action plans. MarkWestForGovernor.com is the website. You can see Mark's 10-step action plan to make Arkansas the destination state. And one of these, Mark, is making human life matter. And that's something I think, some people, they think, okay, Republicans are pro-life, Democrats are pro-choice, and they may not know where a libertarian stands or a specific candidate for the Libertarian Party stands. So talk a little bit about that issue, making human life matter in your position on life.
Certainly, and a lot of the confusion is people look at the National Libertarian Platform and they say, well, this plank seems to, favor, abortion, but really what it does is it says you can be either as a libertarian, because there is a lot of debate. I'd say our party nationally is split 50-50 on the issue. I am a pro-life libertarian. As a pastor, I've been a pastor for 15 years, and I believe that not just the Bible, but I believe science as well shows that a new life, a new human life, begins at conception. So if we're going to approach it from a scientific aspect, we have to recognize that is when a new life begins. And once that new life has begun, it falls under one of the few functions of a government. Our founding fathers laid out why we should have government, to protect our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, I mean, life is foremost in that list. So one of the few functions of our government should be to protect human life. And we have to protect the unborn life. That is the most vulnerable human life in our country, and we need to protect that human life. And some of the things that we can do, Linda Collins Smith's bill, it got upheld in the Supreme Court, which was awesome. That was a great step toward preserving human life in Arkansas. Other things that we can do is I believe we can make the options better for women in crisis pregnancies. We can, one of the things we can do as a governor and a state legislature is, work on the regulations that are making private adoptions so hard to get and making them so expensive, so that we open that up so that you can have more private adoptions for women that are in crisis pregnancies. We need to be partnering with people on the local level, with individuals and with charitable organizations on the local level to help provide for healthcare needs and education needs and child care needs and those type of things for women that are in crisis pregnancies. We need to do everything we can to make the choice of life the most desirable option, on top of working to make sure that our government does protect human life.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like you said, I think there is some confusion, but to hear, you seem to have a very strong pro-life stance, which I think probably aligns with most Arkansans that are, strongly pro-life across the state. One thing you said, Mark, talked about in kind of the opening there was the issue of Arkansas Works and that program, and then I know we were talking the other day about kind of the work requirements aspect of that, and I thought you had a really interesting take on kind of the work requirements program, but if you wanted to talk about that and your thoughts on that, I thought that was a really interesting take, something I hadn't thought of before.
Certainly. I mean, it is one area that exposes where the swamp is ruling in Little Rock, because what Arkansas Works has become, especially with this, this work aspect of it, is basically it becomes a subsidy for bigger corporations, and these bigger corporations have hiring practices where they, they'll maybe they won't hire anybody to work any more than 15 hours a week, and they're going to pay them, barely pay them minimum wage, and they're not going to provide health care, and they're not going to provide any of these things as an employer. So what this does, so many employees that are working for these big corporations are having to draw food stamps. They're making so little at their job that they're able to qualify for food stamps, and they're able to qualify for Arkansas Works. And what this basically has become is a big subsidy for these big corporations. So basically, it's just another way to subsidize those special interests and those big corporations that are supporting the establishment. This is just another subsidy for them, and that's sad. But that's what it's become, and it just exposes how deep the swamp is in Little Rock.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you don't think about it that way, but really that's a really good point about how these large corporations kind of will benefit from this work requirement. If you think about it, if they just have people work enough to be eligible, or not work more than what would be where they wouldn't be eligible, because if they worked full time, 40 hours a week, $9, $10, $11 an hour, they probably wouldn't even be eligible for the Arkansas Works program. And so the employers that kind of keep those hours back to where they are eligible, it further provides them from, I guess, not having to, or knowing, well, we won't provide that as a private company, or we see that as the role of government, and we'll support that, we'll lobby for that, we'll push for that with our lobbying efforts. So very, very interesting insight on that. Mark, I want to give you the last word. I know you got maybe some events coming up, or where can people see you or hear more about you, and then if you want to touch on the Second Amendment too. I know you have a strong Second Amendment stance, so I'll give you the last word and whatever you want to relay to the voters.
Sure. I just want to say on the Second Amendment, I believe that we have a God-given human right to self-defense. That human right goes with us everywhere that we go. So we have a right in this state to carry a firearm for our self-defense, either openly or concealed without a government permission slip or a license or anything of that sort. So I believe that we need to expand and further clarify the Act 746, because the people have that right. And right now it's been muddied up by the governor and by the attorney general. There's no clear message out there. But that's one of the things I'll work toward if elected governor, is ending all the concealed carry license and the enhanced concealed carry licenses. People shouldn't have to have a license to arm themselves for self-defense, and it's irrelevant of whether they want to carry the firearm open or whether they want to conceal that firearm. They have that right, and that's something I will fight for if I am elected governor. And on that, I'm hoping to be at a Patriots of Act 746 lunch at Tamales at 2:30 on Saturday. I'm hoping to be able to make it. My son has a band concert in Conway that morning, so it depends on if we get done and can get back through in time to get there. But my goal is to be there. I'm going to be doing a Q&A in Fort Smith, or meeting with a Q&A group in Fort Smith Tuesday morning at 8, and going to be meeting at the VFW convention tomorrow. So it's going to be a busy time. And plus, I told you the other day on the phone, one thing I do with my kids, Batesville Community Theater does a play every summer, and we're doing Annie this year. And for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be very, about every night until nearly the last week of June, we're going to be working on Annie every night. So it's going to be quite a busy slate. Looking forward to July and actually when the full campaign season gets into gear in August. So that's what we're doing, and that's where we're going to be. I appreciate anybody if you get a chance. Check out the website, markwest4governor.com, and that is the number 4. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter at markwest, the number 4, and then GOV.
All right. Well, Mark, I appreciate you coming on today. And if you want to learn more about Mark West, markwestforgovernor.com. And we appreciate you coming on, Mark, and keep us informed. And hopefully we can do it again.
All right, will do. Thank you very much.
All righty. Have a good day.